teacher go to school?
And here's your...
What do you think of what's going on right now, mate?
These evil little invisible parasites.
Satan-worshipping Freemason moron.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
We're not run by factions.
Get the fuck out of camera!
There are much more powerful international forces in play.
Is this pink eye? Is this what pink eye is? I don't fucking know what's happening.
Please go outside and look at the me quickly.
It's been crazy, guys, but guess what? It's how it is, mate.
Mate, because I want to do you slowly.
But I ain't spending any time on it.
Welcome to the Conditional Release program. I'm your host, Joel Hill. We are Jackless today, but we have picked up a Dave who spent his weekend at the March for Australia, the not racist rally, the not Nazi rally that happened to be full of racists and Nazis. What a shame. We all sort of saw that coming. Funny that a lot of people didn't, including people like Bob Catter, who should know better. But anyway, let's not even go into that. Just a reminder, CBCO have got 10% off their fine products, and you'll have to put CRP10 at the checkout. But if you do that, you will get cheaper beer, which is fantastic. And it's good beer. And we are also going to be hopefully drinking CBCO at Skepticon. I don't know about the licensing laws. There's a big possibility I can't. But if I'm stuck drinking Carlton Draft on that stage, God damn it, it's fine, I suppose. But it will be fantastic. It is over the October 4th and 5th weekend in Melbourne at the Forum at the University of Melbourne. And that should be a bloody good time. So if you can join us, that'd be fantastic. There are tickets available, and we will let you know when we're speaking and how that will all play out on the shitposting group and through various social media channels, as we tend to do. All right. Well, Dave, how did your weekend go?
Oh, caught the train down from the region, rurals into the city.
Big smoke.
Big smoke. First thing sort of was confronted with was a couple of pensioners going to their first ever protest.
Oh, that's cute.
And ringing their children to tell them that that's what they were doing.
Nice. For their future, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it was a big thing for them.
Oh.
And having sat there for the previous, 4 years / 2 weeks, listening to Twitter Spaces, I knew they were going to something very different.
Yes, well, you do know your shit when it comes to spending a lot of time listening to these people talk and hearing things that best left unheard, to be honest.
Yeah. And
it's pretty unpleasant.
Yeah, and the build up on the train, with that couple and then various familiar faces from Franco to Disco down was undeniable.
So the Cooker rift that was basically saying we're not going to go to this was very much a rift. There was still a good contingent who sort of rocked up and made their presence felt.
Yeah, well, how could they not? And the most clear example of that was Monica Smith.
The flip-flop was very funny.
Flopping between, how's my clout going, how's my income going, and where are people going to land? And this has always been the point of this movement since they all gathered in Canberra and had that life-changing gathering.
Just sort of a fascism funnel, really.
Yeah, and for the last 24, 18, 12 months, the organiser of this rally has been seemingly assigned to deliver people on a very racist, far-right, conspiracist, vulnerable fringe to a group of people clad in black who are certain of where they're going.
Yeah, no, they really are. They're very certain. It's quite crazy how she went from the pivot of, being Little Miss Freedom to sort of, Jessie Stewart's white supremacist partner. But at the same time, she recently said that her father was a Holocaust denier, saying that Anne Frank's diary was full of shit. And now she's sort of quite aware that he was correct. When at first glance, when she heard that, she was quite upset. So, I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I suppose. That's a real shame. Look, I don't want to talk shit about her late father. This is just more of a comment on the fact that, this stuff shouldn't be a surprise, and it probably isn't a surprise to people around her if this is what she's been brought up with. But whereas with us, I don't know, even with those sort of the extremely transphobic stuff that she's done over the past, several years. I don't know. I keep on expecting better from her, and I don't know why. I got to stop. It's a weird
There's
weird
no
thing.
point. There's no point making a personality of her or anyone else in the movement. Could have, if wasn't Beck, it would have been someone else.
Yeah, no, true. There had to be some sort of useful idiot to throw into this and basically just make the fall guy for what was a, clearly choreographed sort of Nazi event, really. I mean, that's what the lead up tend to be suggesting, and everyone was screaming from the rooftops, and everyone, like I said, like Bob Cattett, for example, was standing there saying, he supports this rally, and you're like, man, you this stupid, like Nazis, bro, like it is. And it turned out, well, yeah, we were right. Like, and it's not a fun thing to be right. It's sort of sad. It would be lovely to have been wrong. Turns out that everyone actually did shun the Nazis, and they're not a part of the discourse, and they're not welcome anywhere, because that's sort of what's normal, and that's what it should be. But yeah, I mean, look, I want to just break away from this and just say that if you want to know what the lead up was, the Tinfoil Tales episode, the most recent one with Sandy doing a solo show, because Source is overseas, is fantastic. They really cover it. It's better than anything I've seen in the MSM. Sorry, that was a slip that I'll explain later. But yeah, like it's fantastic research. It's really well executed. It's just a great episode. And yeah, it's a shame that it won't reach more ears. And it's as relevant now as it was a week ago. It's just fantastic listening. It's important stuff. But you know a lot of that sort of stuff because you get in the weeds as well. We don't really get in the weeds like Jack and I. We don't, get on the Twitter space and stuff like that. But you tend to, you go in there and you actually do the research, but like primary, like, journalist style research, primary stuff.
Well, I mean, in rural communities, it's not just research; you're actually living in it.
Yeah,
and it was really interesting landing at Central, and I was really interested who was on especially country trains coming into town. For the first couple of hours before, and. Going out, there's a point at Central you can walk out onto the light rail concourse and overlook Belmore Park, which is where they met.
Yes.
And
yes,
even just those little exchanges were interesting in that there was a little window you could look out, and there was a Chinese tourist there, and she was going, "What's going on?" And you're trying to explain it to her, and
yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, and then
that's so sad. Wasn't she saying there was a British flag, and she was puzzled by that as well? Like, why?
Yeah,
so happy about a British flag.
All the fucking Union Jacks were what was confusing her, and I was trying to explain.
So funny,
and just saying, "Stay clear of them; they're fucked."
Yeah.
Then going back into the platforms and looking at another train come in, and then going back out to the window, and at that point there was another group of Chinese older men, and we sort of smiled at each other and shook our heads, and they were filming as well. So the people observing this, it went well beyond whatever you want to call the cooker watchers, the anti-Semitism folks, the people generally interested in protests in Sydney. There were a whole bunch of reasons for migrant communities to be watching out what was directly threatening them.
Yeah, so like Bob Cattett didn't get the memo, and John Ruddick didn't get the memo because he said he'd leave if there were Nazis there. But migrant communities and regional characters sort of went, "Oh shit, we have to take this a bit seriously, don't we? I think this might be bad."
Yeah, well, standing next to Ruddick in his flag cape, I mean, apart from taking in the adrenaline of what was going on in that crowd, was the thing firmly in your head that thousands of people in diasporas were staying home, and also, right up to today, frightened of sending their their kids to school because of what a number of people had organised.
I mean, I saw on Reddit, just an unrelated post, and you never really know with Reddit, but let's just take it as it is. Basically saying that they'd been sent a video of the rally by a family member, and they were thinking of coming to Sydney to study university, and they were now thinking twice. And I guess that's one of the objectives of the rally. I mean, less migrants, right? Less students would be a part of that. But when it comes down to it, that's not good for our country. It's not like, you want to do what's right for our country. It's bad for our country. It's bad for our image. It's bad for our economy. Like, you fucking idiots.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing that frustrated me most watching the build up and totally the aftermath of this rally is the debate in, we're so used to cookers saying MSM and mainstream media, but how long it took commercial and the ABC to understand who was organising this when the evidence was all there before them. And
it was so clear. It was so clear. And also just the fact that the mainstream media kept on doing this thing where it'd be like, and another revelation on the August 31st rally. It's at Belmore Park. There might be some sausages if you like. You should bring a flag. It's really bad. There could be Nazis, and there's really big rumors that on August the 31st at Belmore Park around 12 p.m. that there might be Nazis there. And just to reiterate, there is a real chance there could be some trouble at August 31st at 12 p.m. at Belmore Park. And you're like, could you have fucked that up more?
We had
the amount of PR they gave.
We had the sausages at the previous rally.
They were disgusting. No, they were so gross. And I convinced that cooker that they'd put poison in them, and he fucking freaked out and said he was going to go and puke. It was very funny. God, they're so gullible. Anyway, that was really mean of me. I should have done that. But yeah, that was rank. That was the one the Cossack had involvement in the Vote No rally.
Yeah.
Joel Davis was there as well. That's good fun.
A couple of 100,000 gram came for that. Yeah, that's right.
Well,
so we were. I mean, what was the question? Sorry.
So yeah, I know, right? So look, let's just say we've got a decent rally. We've got a lot of people, a decent amount from rural Australia who are sort of, making their voice heard for possibly the first time, which is a point of pride for them. But when it comes down to it, did you see the Cooker Patriot overlap? Did you see Cooker merch? Did you see, I only saw Franco and things like that. Was anything kind of funny? For a bit of comedic relief before we start launching back into Nazis?
Look, just to get this out of the way, the only merch I saw was Legacy at the northern entrance to Belmore Park. And that was
saying that.
Bizarre. And leave it up to them. It was kind of, the 100th thing on your list, peripheral observation, but it was the first thing I saw once coming down from Central. There was no merch once in the park, and that was Beck's point, Beck versus Monica.
Yeah,
okay. There was, this was, it was definitely bring yourself, and that was the point of the rally. So
because I saw Stop the Rot merch. I saw a guy, because apparently Guru was there, but I didn't see him there. But I saw a guy going up Cleveland Street, which is a decent hill up by the Seymour Centre, and he was wearing a Stop the Rot t-shirt and some pretty fucked cooker hat, and he was having what I thought was possibly a heart attack. Now, it's not really my job to administer first aid to a seriously overweight man in critical condition, but I was starting to think maybe someone's going to have to, lay down and give this fellow the old Baywatch kiss, because he wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
I guess they're not all in active clubs.
No, I sort of had a peek in a cardboard box full of someone's books that I'd never heard of, and they probably sold 3 copies each too. But
they'll
the
always
main
do
point, the merch thing wasn't obvious as it was at Convoy or Mission to Melbourne or whatever. uh, um, it was a bringing together of the freedom movement, of going back to reclaim, and all orchestrated by NSN and whoever wanted to help them, as the now defunct Bosie would say, useful idiots. And
Yeah.
the we've been a racist country since, you could say but that may as well be 1788. And
Yeah.
but there's nothing that's changed. It's apart from various waves of arrivals, and the best of us get on, the worst of us never want to.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had lots of different migrant experiences. We had, of course, like, the post-Vietnam War with was it Menzies, who sort of said, let him in. Oh, no, it wasn't Menzies. Sorry, what am I talking about? Fraser, and like the Italian migrants and all that sort of stuff. So we've had like historical waves of things and stuff like that, but they would all met some sort of pointless backlash. And if you look at it now, I mean, like, sure, things are pretty rough in Cabramatta in the 80s or something, but like, I don't think anyone's sitting here thinking, gee, I wish that didn't happen. Ironically, of course, some of the guys draped in Australian flags went for a nice banh mi afterwards at that food truck. Mate, who do you think makes the pork roll, champion? What do you think banh mi is? Do you think that's something about Jimmy Barnes? No, it's fucking Vietnamese, idiot. Like, that's migration for you, champ. Like, at least like the food. It's pathetic. But of course, I think that's the thing when it comes to migrants. These people, like, they're useful when they're useful, and when they're not, then they're everything wrong with society. And, and the thing they can blame all their inadequacies on, because that's the best thing about this. I'm not successful. It's the migrants. What a great thing. I should start doing that. I'm terribly unsuccessful.
Yeah. And having lived in, Fairfield next door to Canleyvale, Cabramatta, it's the most amazing place.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And everyone,
they just don't understand it.
Everyone there is used to dealing with things far more hectic than what Beck Freedom and her Nazi mates put up the show on Sunday. And
all she says is how bad things are, and all they can ever say is rents are high. Well, you know what? Rents are high partially because our regulations are bullshit, and landlords are able to charge what the market will bear, and people really like houses, and it's really hard to move. It's a conflagration of things that just make it really easy to overcharge on rent, and that's a regular issue. It's not migrants. The vacancy rate might be a little bit low, but the land banking rate and the general sort of pause button that Australia's development community put on housing intentionally to starve supply is the thing that they should be marching against. They'll never do that. I mean, like, fuck, let's face it. One of the guys who meant the sort of pivotal into the Melbourne thing, who ended up turning up there, I think Ozpil actually went, despite being in Florida at the time or something. I mean, his family is responsible for staggering the release of thousands, 48,000, I think, plots of land they've land banked to maximize profits for their shareholders. And you're pissed off at brown people?
And then his post saying that he'd sacrifice his family's fortune for this issue.
But he doesn't have to, so it's fine.
Yeah, things went quiet after that. He did seem to be photographed in Melbourne. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, with a guy who looked very enthusiastic, possibly chemically enthusiastic.
Yeah, what a cunt.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, no, that is allowed here. So basically, like, what happened when the march started? So you're all like down in Belmore Park. You like getting up in the thick of it. I'm totally cueing you here. You know where this is leading. But basically, you're about to march. You're about to go from Belmore Park to Victoria Park. It's about 1 kilometre for those who aren't from around here. And, what happened there?
Well, yeah, had to wander through the crowds after going down the ramp and passing Legacy. And, just took in the vibe and sort of thought, well, the front's always where it's at, and get there. And as I was doing that, there's sort of a parting of the waves, Moses-like, and, the they were fucking pathetic. The marching through, the guys in black. One guy, the guy at the back seemed to have forgotten his uniform. It's like he was in khaki and boxers.
He didn't get the memo. What? Oh, they were so well organised.
Good on him for turning up, though. Like, if I was him, I wouldn't have.
They went mask off this time, literally, because they usually do obscure their faces.
If you looked at the media release they put out, that was, we and our families will be marching unmasked.
Yeah, we are ready to be backing ourselves in this because we think that we're now a part of the mainstream discussion. And to be honest, like, it feels like they're almost not wrong. The amount of people who are apologizing for this behavior, not only in the sort of cook spaces, but like, the sort of like the general, like mainstream conservatives, it's pretty wild.
That's what you'd advise politicians and social observers and journalists listening to this would be to look at that very closely, because in his penultimate weekly video before the march, Tom Sewell said that the main point is to shift the Overton window. And
yes, absolutely.
And we've then got Susan Ley standing up in Parliament and virtually saying, very fine people, back to Charlottesville.
Wasn't she born in Nigeria?
I don't know. I'd spent a long time in Nigeria, so yeah. Sorry,
I think they're calling her Susan Lagos now, which is pretty funny. But
that's an insult to Lagos. Lagos. That's how you say it.
Bob Qatar, which is pretty fun. Lagos, yeah, I wouldn't know.
Far out. I'd love to know that story. Anyway, I digress.
Yes, well, that's the role of these things. When you do a little bit of fast and loose episode, you can have a chat. But
I would describe Lagos as the equivalent to Mos Eisley in Star Wars.
I don't even know that reference, so that's sweet. But I'm sure many people on this podcast do.
Star Wars fans genuinely will.
Yeah, no, they will. I think I've seen 2 of the movies once.
Yeah. So basically, it's the bar scenes. It's definitely the bar scenes.
Like the cantinas and whatnot.
But no, that place is exactly. In fact, I think Lagos is meant to rhyme with Mos Eisley. Anyway, we must go on.
Yes. So basically, what happened was the parting of the seas, like Moses, and they walked down the little red carpet welcome, and I went to the front of the rally, and I believe what happened, and this is based on video that you shot that I've looked at, where basically Joel Davis, the sort of arguably the NSN leader in New South Wales, I don't really know, and he went up to Beck and basically started, having a bit of a chat about leading the rally, and then led the rally. And even had people who were in Marshall's uniforms, the yellow high vis, and he was like, ordering them to go on and take the banner. So it didn't look like the banner was being held by Nazis, but it was. That's like
Jesse said he had the banner delivered in on the night before. Jesse Stewart, son of Tim.
Yeah.
And
Burns by 34.
Yeah. And the Nazis had posted a picture of them marching in from the north end of Belmore Park, and at the point the video they posted ends, I sort of picked them up marching in to the front. So, I mean, you got to think that there was a parting of the ways. They never stopped. It was always intended to be that way.
Yeah.
They just went straight to the front. You could hear a certain amount of people kind of booing.
There were a few boos, yeah.
In the way they might boo Tism.
Yes.
We boo.
More passionately.
We love you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got to the front, and a banner was handed to them, quickly given over to 3 guys in yellow who were clearly probably wishing they were wearing black, but kind of were probably the newest signatures into the Artarm and Dunbar Park, weight pumping scene.
The active pods.
Yeah, and it goes on from there. The funniest thing was that, the soundtrack that anyone who busted their guts on Parliament lawn in Canberra through 2023 sort of had heard played to death of Oz music 80s.
True Blue.
God. Yeah, it's a kind of horrifying thing because you saw all these bands live back in the day, and now here you are as a Generation X boomer, kind of seeing them played to the most detrimental of effects.
Oh, totally. I mean, they were horrified to know their music was played there.
Yeah, well, hats out to, big thumbs up to Living End. Made that post that finished with "fuck Nazis" because
fuck Nazis, unequivocal.
But at the bottom end of the scale, we had that ridiculous situation at the Convoy where the drummer, was it John? I don't want to defame any Pharisees. I think it was it John, the drummer?
Yeah, it's hard to say, but there was, there's a cooked in excess Ferris,
And Guru said in excess we're playing.
That was very funny, wasn't it? In excess we're going to be playing at the rally, and no, they're not, my friend. No, there's a Ferris brother.
And drummers explode on stage. Yeah.
Well, they're meant to, if only.
But
nice little Spinal Tap reference there.
Fucking hell! They marched in. Beck was, was there was some kind of minute comment in the footage that Jesse was on the toilet.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but the button was pressed. They marched in. They took the banner. The guys in yellow were holding the banner, and they looked like Nazis. And then a bunch of enthusiastic marchers jumped the gun, went under the arches onto Broadway, and then got told to hold back so as the
banner holders,
unawares NSN, could catch up, and they all ran past and reformed on Broadway to take the lead.
But it's not a Nazi rally. Beck doesn't know anything about that. She actually she washed her hands of Melbourne because she was really unsure what was going on with the NSN. But here we are, giving the banner to Nazis, and then when other attendees started marching, making sure the Nazis were in front of them to lead the rally. I'm sorry, you can't deny this anymore. And I don't think she's going to soon, because just like they took the masks off, I think she'll take her mask off too.
And there's people in Melbourne who are way more regionally aware of this than I am. But in terms of what's been happening down there with, Cooker and far right groups, Becca's been referring to, Cottrell and Sewell as Blair and Tom for the last 18 months at least, and
her mates
leading them into restaurants and meetings where the two groups collide. And then there's a bit of a half-witted debate within these groups about, are they okay or are they not okay?
Yep, I've heard some of that recently.
And as far as the listenership goes here and whatever spectrum that covers, I'm sure all our grandparents taught us that was not okay.
No, really not. And it's wild. I saw Dr. Nino post on the shitposting group a sort of video. He's been getting a lot of cuts of videos and things. Really impressive work, actually. I should send him a message. Hey, Dr. Dan. And basically, Cafe Locked Out was saying that Tom Sewell's speech was great.
Yeah.
That was the conversation. They would say, like if they keep on speaking like this, then people are going to say, "Wow, that's what we want." And there's MGG, Michael Grey Grope, being, "Oh yeah, no, it was really good speech, really good." And you're like, "What the? If you have some fucking self-respect." Like, it's just embarrassing. And like these guys, they fight their egos, the battles over the spotlight. But then when the Nazis rock up, they just submit. They usually fight for the limelight. It's amazing they're just going to let the Nazis come in and take over their movement. I don't understand any of it. It's embarrassing as fuck.
Yeah, well, it's more than embarrassing. It's just straight out from the start. And the thing that encourages you is the thing about. I guess I should start from the beginning. Is that the NSN with all its less than 4,000 members or whatever in Australia sees itself as the peak of far right extremism, but
the vanguard, as they like to say.
Yeah, and the Overton window, and to tiers 2, 3, and 4 down to whatever 100 behind that see themselves as influential in suburban and regional cooker groups and One Nation and whatever you've got, is that folks like MGG making a last-minute decision after his heart attack to attend the Freedom Truck trial in Canberra and come up to Sydney and suddenly show off his snake oil. They're already there. There's no sitting with these people in pubs and saying you're a nice person. I just think you got it a bit wrong. You've just marched with fucking Nazis.
And then afterwards, you've not distanced yourself from it. You've just gone, well, they had some good points.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, and this is where... And I think this very much aligns with the death of regional media and local newspapers, is that the far right saw that as an opportunity to set up, community pages in regional towns and go from there. And in my town, there's now, I think, 9 or 10 community pages, and you can work out very easily that 6 or 7 of those have been set up by the freedom movement, disingenuous councillors on the far right, and what have you. So you go from there, and that's, if you're looking for an excuse that some people who weren't aware that this was a Nazi rally turned up on the basis of, maybe, but, at the same time, everyone who said, "Oh, I'm going to my first rally, I'm going to travel 2 hours to get there," there were half a dozen people calling them out, including their own family, and they were determined not to listen to that advice.
Yeah, no, that's quite right, and I think that at this point they're going to just double down, which is really sad. That's the whole cognitive dissonance thing, and it's so much based on ego. Like, if I went to a rally, like the whole classic Palestinian example of like, if you were standing next to a terrorist sign, I mean, like, yeah, but like, what's happened in that situation when there's been terrorist signs? Flags or general, so like, anti-Semitic sentiment, is the organisers will go to police, and Fahad Ali's like said this on the record, we'll go to police and we will say, these guys are problematic, can you please remove them, because we don't want to go and start a fight with a terrorist, or at least a terrorist sympathizer, which is a very reasonable position to have. And I get that the same thing with the Nazis, but at the same time, I don't see these organisers, not only do I not see them trying to have these people removed, but they gave them the lead of the march and then handed them a microphone later at the open mic, which is pretty wild. But just to sort of go in the middle of the rally, you've gone from Belmore Park to Victoria Park. How is the march? I saw some video. Some was from John Ruddock, who seems to still think there were no Nazis there, which is just fucking wild, and I don't know what to believe on that one. But you you look around and it's just flags and sort of bogans, and it's fine. Not much drinking, fair enough. I guess it's early, have a beer afterwards. But crappy music from several different directions. Were there chants? Was it all just Aussie, 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 and that shit? What was the march like?
Yeah, so I walked in after passing Legacy from the back.
Yeah.
And
I hope they made some money.
Oh God, I saw AC/DC in 1988, and fuck that Thunderstruck started, and it was I just sort of had a look at that. That was great.
Yeah.
And then it was not the numbers. Like Beck had told the police that 10 to 50,000 would be attending.
Yep.
I don't know. We had I'm really fucking good at counting crowds. I don't have many talents, but sitting at Brookvale Oval watching Manly, I can count a crowd, and we used to have bets to the nearest 100. And I went 8,000. AVC went 5 to 8 or something. Yeah, so it wasn't the 10 to 50 that they were calling. Some idiot, Cooker Maths has gone to 250,000.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, they do. Going back to Canberra, when the recent things that have come out there that saying that was the biggest protest in Canberra in the Triangle ever from the convoy.
Yeah,
that's
in
true.
the Triangle.
Yeah. And they did that, and they should have been happy with that.
They should have been happy with it. We've said that a million times. Yeah,
that many people went there trying to make about government overreach and whatever. But in my local community, when the 17 or 18 people from there came back, and I sort of called them out in the veranda of the pub and said, "You just marched with Nazis." They didn't profess to know who made the speeches or know who Bosie or Hoodie or Monica or Onyx or Mark Mack or those fuckwits were.
Yeah, okay.
And again, the pretense, that's the thing, that's the tension that is going on in regional communities right now is, there's a bit of a very subterfuge sort of cover as to how involved are you?
Yeah.
And do you want to swap, Pokyapunga, Pokyapunka?
Pokyapunka, something like that,
I hope
yeah.
I've swapped that right. For any sort of community of that size in Australia, we're all living out our tensions, and at the same time, you've all fought bushfires together. So, yeah, it's definitely a political dynamic.
Yeah, it's definitely different to the cities where everyone's, very inner left.
Yeah, I'm not an analyst, and at the same time, I'm not going to give away what goes on in my local and whose birthday parties were we at, and who fell off the bull riding horse first. Yeah,
but it is tiny communities that find it very difficult to realize that the people they know and love have wild beliefs that may be, either dangerous or just outright mean, like some of the sort of extreme hardline trans discrimination stuff, the sort of virulent racism that just goes, I'm not racist, but, and then just flames come out of their mouths. It's disappointing. It's disappointing when that sort of stuff comes across and you try and separate the person from the politics. But it gets to a certain point where you go, I don't know if it's politics or hate speech, and I don't think I stand by that. But, you've known them since they were 4. And, their mum, they the cousins. So that's that's hard.
Yeah. Well, there's certain councils in New South Wales who have been taken over by the freedom movement on the basis of roads and potholes and 4 lanes or 2 lanes, and that in the microcosm of things is very important to look at. And this isn't talking about what goes on in the council chambers, but around roaring fires in August at a party.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of sort of speaking, were there any speakers that stood out for you at the march? Like, I was at the back, and it just sounded like shit. I couldn't hear anything. All I could hear was just people jeering and just sort of, the noise of a crowd. Like, the speakers were piss weak.
I think it's really important to look at the list of speakers at any protests, left,
Well, they
right,
refused to release them, which is always interesting.
Well, Sydney, Beck did the night before put the list.
The night before, yeah.
Yeah, but there were many additions.
Yes.
And then there was the open mic, which is, and it's really important to look at who was queued up before the open mic, because you got Joel Davis and Jack Eltis from NSN. When I go to these things, I tend to think that I can download the speakers and speeches later and listen to them, and I'm sort of more interested in what's going on with the crowd. But we did what was it? Hail White Australia. That sort of pricked my ears up.
Yeah.
And when
that was Joel Davis, I believe.
Yeah, it was. And I was in a position in the crowd that, curiously enough, there were groups of teenagers sort of either nodding or facing up to them. And that's also a really interesting thing at protests is what goes on the fringes. And it was bloody hard to work out who was, by that stage, just trying to observe what was going on, who was fully into it, who, was trying to be the biggest Nazi in year 11 or whatever. And plus Australian Motherhood trying to do a sideshow on the Flying Fox. It was loose as on the edges.
Yeah. But when it comes to the general sort of dynamic of the day, the Nazi influence is huge. Beck Freedom is still denying that the NSN coordination was planned. She's got a post here basically saying that not everything went to plan on the day, but I made it work as best I could. You're all complaining about the NSN being up front of the march. I also can't control where people walk. Have you ever told someone where they can and can't walk at a protest? It normally doesn't end well. But you're all failing to acknowledge the 3 to 4 brave older women who came to the front. Whatever. The video shows her speaking to Joel Davis, them taking a banner that they organised and walking, and then Beck going and making sure that anyone marching in front was behind the NSN members. And she's still denying it. That's to a point where, there's no credibility to really lose here, but that's really embarrassing. you're just lying. I really don't know how she can maintain this for long because I'm sorry, like what, is she new to the fact that people make videos at rallies? How does she possibly think that her coordinating with Nazis at the front wasn't captured on video? Wild shit. Just embarrassing.
No, it was intended to be that way, and
But she's still lying about it.
yeah. But there's no debate.
No, there's no debate at all.
Beck Freedom's a Nazi.
That's that, man. It just is what it is. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear otherwise. I'd love to see otherwise. But yeah, it's
You
a really
won't.
dark.
But it's yeah. But
Just
and
so it's
to
what
the
it is.
point, and that's to the point. Looking back to, there's a lot of listeners here who come here from a very different bent, but the convoy to Canberra was, whether you came here for a laugh or whether you sort of your ears pricked up and you went, this is Reclaim and the Howard inspired anti-immigration and Hanson inspired anti-immigration protest from the 90s. You kind of looked at them, this is the same thing, but, it was what we saw it, and a bunch of neo-Nazis marched up to the front and took the lead to
rally.
Victoria Park.
Yeah.
And, hey, Susan Lay, are they very fine people? This shouldn't be a thing that's, the people observing this movement have come together from anywhere in the Liberal Party to dark left, and we've all seen the same fucking thing. That's why we're here. Hey.
Well, that's sort of it. Like, so I'm guessing basically, as far as the future goes from here, it is like the Nazi cooker pipeline was something that we sort of always said, it's clearly happening in front of us, but how effective it was going to be was always a question. And there's always this hope, this glimmer of hope that just that Nazi line is just one that people just tend not to cross. And it looks like that's not really an issue for a lot of people. They're pretty happy to bound over that line and in some instances deny it, like Beck Freedom still is doing. And a lot of people are saying, oh man, I didn't see any Nazis there, there's bullshit. Or fuck the Nazis, bro, I was there for this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, yeah, but I mean, but people did leave when the Nazis came, so that's good. Or when the Nazis spoke, at least they left.
Expect the best, prepare for the worst. Walker and Stewart are liars.
Yeah, that's pretty much the situation. Well, I'm glad you're still finding time and strength to go to these things because, I mean, I've got a lot going on and I didn't have it in me to go there. And also just, I'm so obviously a lefty. They can smell it on me. I don't know how you get away with this, but yeah, look, it's a very depressing day. It's very depressing aftermath. Thankfully, we're not in Melbourne. I believe Sandy's going to do an episode of Tinfoil Tales on Melbourne, which is going to be fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, but Sydney, as far as Sydney went, it was shit enough not to be terrifying, but bad enough to be concerning, I think.
Yeah, I think Tom's post about things didn't go so well today was probably the best thing. Analysis, but yeah, it's something that's got to be looked at. They've tapped into housing and regional decline as a big thing. I mean, it's nothing that hasn't gone on in the last since Jesus Christ. It's regional decline. It just goes on, and things get better, things get worse. But you go to neo-Nazis and things happen real quick.
Yeah, that's it. It's a real acceleration path pun intended. And yeah, I think that's all very intentional, and it's just really unfortunate because it appears to be working really quite well. I'm very dispirited by that.
Yeah. To conclude, it's just watching ABC and commercial media today, and the lack of getting it that really bothers you. And there's some in there that do, obviously, but far out. Just you know, all their grandparents have been there before, and we don't want to go there again.
No, we really don't. Yeah. Well, man, thanks for coming on and letting us know what happened and your feelings and thoughts surrounding it, because I know you spent a lot of time and effort attending these things, but also just participating in these spaces and observing and documenting and trying to understand the phenomenon, which I just don't think is being done very well by most people who, especially in the mainstream media, who sort of funnel it in and just aren't capable of covering this effectively. And neither am I, to be fair, but but you really know your shit, which is good.
No, I can furries.
I like it. Well, look, mate, we'll leave it there, and we'll catch up soon, and we'll have another chat about cookers at some point. Make it a bit more light.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, mate. See ya.
Bye.
I don't think I ever want to talk to any of those people.